This is Larry Elder for Epic Times. I want to say a word about our friend Chris Cuomo, who recently lost his job as an anchor over at CNN.
The biggest media story this weekend, it's the firing of Chris Cuomo from this network, CNN.
He and I have a bit of a history. I follow some liberals on Twitter. They follow me back, and so we can DM, direct message each other. And we used to have a relationship where we direct message each other, and I would criticize something he said, and he couldn't handle the criticism. And increasingly began insulting me, called me old, called me fat, criticized the Relief Factor commercials I did as fugazi, and just, I thought, an intolerant, insensitive bully. So when he had his comeuppance over at CNN, I'm not going to lie and say that I was disappointed or surprised or saddened. I was not. You know what happened. He was helping his brother, Andrew Cuomo, the embattled governor of New York, deal with the series of sexual harassment allegations that were made against him. Now, Chris Cuomo did admit that he was consulting his brother. After all, he said, "It's my brother, and I love my brother." But he did not admit the extent to which he was engaged in damage control on behalf of his brother. Not only did he contact his brother, not only did he give his brother heads up about things that were happening, not only did Chris Cuomo use his news sources, he also apparently dug up dirt on his brother's accusers. Talk about violating journalistic standards. My goodness. It really is quite amazing that he lasted this long. He also, as you know, would have his brother on and they would laugh and yuck it up about how well his brother was handling the coronavirus pandemic, when in fact his brother put COVID senior patients in senior homes, and as a result, a whole bunch of people died. The man has blood on his hands. But Chris Cuomo and Andrew Cuomo minimized it. As you know, Andrew Cuomo wrote a book, got a $5 million advance because he was such a wonderful steward of the coronavirus, when in fact it was the opposite. Janice Dean of Fox News teed off on him because her in-laws were put in nursing homes as a result of Cuomo's policy. Her father-in-law, mother-in-law died as a result of what Cuomo did, so she was not amused.
Well, it's just a list of things that we have to blame this governor for. There is an investigation, several of them, by the FBI, the federal investigation, and the DOJ. And all I want right now, Sean, is those investigations to continue. Obviously, the Me Too part of this is important, and no woman should ever have to be put in that position. And of course, I know full well about the Cuomo administration smear campaign because I was part of that as well. But I don't want them to take their eye off the nursing homes. We had over 15,000 of our loved ones in New York die because of that executive order of 9,000 infected patients being put into nursing homes. And I don't want people to lose sight of that. And the cover-up, the massive cover-up that went on for months. For many months, I was out there. I felt like I was alone talking about this. And now there's a chorus of us. And I feel like everyone has to come on board and ask for accountability and keep these investigations in place because we want answers. We need answers. Our loved ones deserve that, Sean.
In any case, CNN first put Chris Cuomo on indefinite suspension pending an investigation. And even Brian Stelter, their media guy, goes on CNN and says, well, you know, after they do the investigation, Chris is probably going to come back.
I think the bottom line is that Cuomo is on the bench for now. We're heading into a holiday season. I think it's possible he will be on the bench for several weeks. It's possible he'll be back in January.
Within a couple of days, they fired Chris Cuomo. Turns out there was an allegation of sexual harassment a few years earlier, that he admitted to when he was working at, I believe it was ABC. And the woman he sexually harassed went public and said he did it, and he promptly apologized shortly after he, I guess, grabbed her at a party or something a few years ago. Well, a recent allegation also surfaced. Another woman who worked with Chris Cuomo fairly recently has also made an allegation of sexual harassment. So you add up the journalistic malpractice in not informing his listeners about how he was helping his brothers and the most recent sexual harassment allegation, and now he's gone. One more thing. His colleague at CNN is Don Lemon. Guess what happened during the Jussie Smollett trial? Turns out that Smollett, taking the stand in his own defense, testified that Don Lemon texted him early on when he made the allegation that he was being jumped by these people who were committing a hate crime. And Smollett testified that Don Lemon alerted him that the Chicago authorities were doubting his story. Now, 2 years ago, Don Lemon admitted that he was texting Jussie Smollett, but said he was doing it as gay man to gay man because, you know, after all, there aren't very many of us. That in and of itself is journalistic malpractice. But to text him and then give him a heads up that the police are doubting his story, that is double journalistic malpractice. Now, how is that any different than what Chris Cuomo did in advising his brothers, giving his brother a heads up about things that were being alleged that he had done? How is that any different? It isn't any different. Don Lemon committed the same kind of journalistic malpractice that Chris Cuomo did, and in my opinion, Don Lemon should suffer the exact same fate. I'm Larry Elder for Epoch Times. I will see you next time. I guess they had some openings over at CNN. I should put in an application.